Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I, your host, the one and only Pewter Odin, and here is my support Hulk build.
I will give you what you want.
For my melee piece, I went with Faultless Inspirational Nanites, and the power attacks inflict sonic damage, and my melee critical attacks boost my willpower. I increase stun damage when using grabbed enemies as a weapon. It's got might, proficiency, and resilience. Such a great role for me. Go with the Gear 2.0. It's a way to go. Okay? Now you can see in this video that I'm going to show you how Hulk with power attacks really works.
Buffing the shit out of him. Oh!
It just struck me. Can I turn this into a battery attack with vibranium
God.
for power attacks?
Good stuff.
For my ranged piece, I went with Shield's Mark. Okay? Now you get this. I got this piece from a cosmetic vendor, and people will swear up and down that the cosmetic vendors do not have magnificent loot. That is cap. That's a total lie. This is the proof right here. You're not gonna find. You might find this in vaults, cause that's the best way to actually get loot in this game is through the vaults. But the cosmetic vendors, they will sneak in and give you some really good gear. And that's where I got this from. It's got 50 Valor, 49 Resolve, 53 Resilience. And it gives me an 85.6 chance defeating an enemy with a ranged critical attack to grant me a defensive buff. Okay? I already made him defensive like crazy, right? He's got the 15% defensive increase from me using my rage, and then an additional 15% more when I'm overcharged, which is like insane because he's like almost always overcharged. So he's incredibly defensive, and he can still deal 35% damage while he's overcharged. It's incredible. The damage is totally there. Okay? The so-called nerf that they did with the Thunderclap does not matter, because the skill tree in this build is still giving me great damage output while also being a tank, and he's tanking and he's taunting and he's grabbing all that aggro. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this reactive buff component probably came from basically just like a random drop out of a chest. I got real lucky. Praise RNGesus. You gotta praise RNGesus. Streamer loot, whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely RNGesus, okay? Incredible roll. It's a 3-star reactive buff. It's a 3-star. Chance taking damage grants a damage buff. When I'm critically injured, it grants me invulnerability. That's crazy. Cause there's like little times where I'm critically injured. I got some good health here. So to be critically injured and then to grant me invulnerability for this build is insane. This roll is amazing. Thank you, RNGesus. And last but not least, kind of tongue twisted here, Bone Shaker's Blitz Stimulator. It's got Resolve, it's got Valor, it's a 5-star gear perk. It increases my damage while Bone Shakers is active by 20%. I get a willpower burst from doing takedowns and yet another damage buff for defeating 3 enemies in a rapid succession. I want to be damage buffed as much as possible. Because sometimes that chance taking damage grants a damage buff does not proc. And now you see why I went with the perk chances, increasing my perk chances as much as possible. I barely have any proficiency. I can't say that. I only have 50 proficiency. Excuse me. In this build. But me getting a damage buff will increase that proficiency by a lot. Now we move over to the artifacts, starting off with this bad boy right here. Okay? Get some resolve in you. Get some resolve. My man needs to be healthy. He has to have a lot of willpower. That way if he goes down, I use my rage to get my willpower right back up while I'm attacking enemies. And his effectiveness, the higher resolve you have, the higher he has at gaining health for hitting enemies while raged. Okay? This piece is really good. I like to use a lot of power attacks. I'm going to be increasing my damage by almost 12%. It's really good. Enough said. And in comes this artifact. ISO 8 of Cosmic Affinity. Gives me intensity, valor, and might. It's really good. It's got a support ability increase charge rate of 8.5, and it grants me a cosmic surge buff. The surge buff increases my willpower and my heroic charge rate. Okay? So say I am in rage, right? Given that I have high resolve, that cosmic surge is going to boost my willpower recovery even higher. It's really good. And last but not least, the major artifact. Now, you can go either way. I don't know why it's showing this defensive one here in the UI, but I've been rocking the Stone of Lethal Will for a damage boost. It's self-explanatory, everybody should know about it. But there's so many orbs being dropped from this build that you should probably go with the ring. It's probably better to go with the ring, to be honest. The ring is so good. Or if you really want to feel like immortal Hulk, you want to go with the Obsidian Spirit, because I have an 85.6% chance of defeating enemies with critical range attacks to grant a defensive buff, and this will go good with that. But I mean, to each his own. But these are the 3 major artifacts that I would recommend you guys use. Don't worry about no other artifact but these 3. This is probably number 1, number 2, and number 3. This ring is stupid good. Ooh, yes. First things first, Bone Shaker is such a good move for the Hulk. It's his support move, which I'm going to be basing this build off of, and it's taunting enemies like crazy. His scream alone, if you have your build strong enough, will not only start off the taunt, but it will defeat the enemies just from the scream itself. and it will proc so many orbs if you have your skill tree set that way. Okay, so you want to extend the duration of Bone Shaker, keep it up as long as possible, right? That's going to help out not only you but your team as well. This is a support build. This is a support build, so you're going to be helping out the team as much as possible. Don't worry about the damage. The damage will come through the skill tree, okay? You're going to be dropping a lot of heroic orbs from the enemies you taunt with Bone Shaker. It is such a good move. I swear. Thank you, whoever did that on the team. It's incredible. Alright, so second, Stranglehold. I've seen some incredible synergetic moves done with Stranglehold. He will literally hit the ground, boom, and it will knock up a bunch of enemies in the air. And if you got somebody like a Thor running with you, he would bring up the, I forget which move it is. I think it's God Blast, where he like uses cryo to lift them up in the air and bring out that shock, right? So that's 3 statuses right there if you got the right skill tree set, right? All right, but we're not gonna discuss synergy right now. We're gonna discuss this, what you should use for Stranglehold for this build. It's radiated destruction. Bring out as much status as you can for your Hulk support build. Okay, it's going to help out the team so much to do battery, double battery attacks. Gamma is really powerful in this game. It's a, it's a, it explodes when you fill up the meter, and that explosion, when involved with battery, is very, very massive. So I recommend irradiated destruction for this support build highly. And you want to also double your stranglehold as much as possible. You want to be able to keep that going just in case, you know? Why not? I mean, it's good to have the taunt nearby enemies and instantly overcharged intrinsic rage meter. I had that. I'm kind of going back and forth with these two. Like, they're both really good. Okay? And that's that. And for your ultimate ability, the Thunderclap. Ugh. So much damage. It was doing too much damage, allegedly. And I'm still seeing people doing crazy damage numbers with their Thunderclap. So, nerf, no nerf. A fix is more like it, is what I always like to say. They fixed Thunderclap. It was doing 50% more damage from Faultless line. The Fault line, it says damage by 25%, but really it was 50%, so they put it back to 25, quote unquote. Alright? But that's not what I run with for this build. That's not my invulnerability, alright? This is what I go with. Once again, bringing out as much gamma as I can with a Thunderclap. It's very important that you make your Hulk do gamma. He's the Hulk. For this support build, of course, bring out as much status as possible, but we can move on to that. You want to also, enemies who do survive the Thunderclap become taunted, because you're going to want to grab the attention of the room at all times. You're going to always be bone shaking. You're going to always be taunting. You're going to just take a hold of every enemy's attention. Don't matter what it is. Whether it be villain sectors, dreadbots, all that. You want the attention. You want to grab the attention. You want to be able to grab aggro whenever. And that's that. Okay, so for the mastery tree, really, melee, really, you want to just grab orbs. You want to be able to get orbs as much as possible while bone shaking with the gamma. Excuse me. And you want to increase the damage of held enemies and impact by 20%. Impact is how can I say this? Stop the enemies from attacking you while doing your attacks. Basically, that's what impact is. And a lot of people say that the Hulk lacks that. He just gets staggered all the time, and that's him not having impact. Okay? And I also want to be able to take less damage while I'm grabbing these enemies, because I'm going to be pulling aggro. I'm going to be getting hit so much. This is needed. Okay? Range don't really matter. This is not a range build. I'm just going to skip all of that. We don't really need to talk about range. But nonetheless, I will be having a range Hulk build coming soon. We're going to move forward to the intrinsic ability. While you are raged, you want your defense to be up, because I'm telling you right now, as support Hulk, you're going to have all the aggro on you. In general, Hulk in general has all the aggro on you. So it's best to have your defensive strength increased while rage is active. Rage is automatic when you're overcharged. Remember that. So your defense is going to be up by 15%. Also, while your rage is active, you're going to want to increase your damage as well. That way you can not only be able to take a punch, you'll be able to deal punches as well. It's very important. And you want to increase your maximum amount of intrinsic rage energy by 15%. Maximum rage. Oh yeah, baby. On to the next one. So, my intrinsic ability goes so well with my intrinsic overcharge. When I'm overcharged, my defensive strength goes up by an additional 15%. So, I'll be able to take any hit. I'm always going to be overcharged because it's just how I made them. Like, the rage, I'll show you later. I'll show you later. Also, not only do you want your defense to be up while overcharged, you want your damage to be up while overcharged. So not only will I increase my damage by 15% while I'm raged, I will increase more damage by 20% while overcharged. It's very easy for Hulk to get overcharged. You're not really going to be using range that often because it's automatic when you're overcharged. And to stop yourself from utilizing so much intrinsic energy while overcharged, you want to go with temper so you can control it. Okay? Boom. Voila. Chef's kiss. Mwah. Alright, so for champion, the first 31 levels that I went with, so it takes I believe 31 levels to get a full column. But the first thing I did was focus on perk chance, because this support build is all legendary, so it's full of perks. Right, I want to increase my chances as much as possible. Basically, the first thing that I did for my first 100 levels, 62 to be honest, was perk chance and charge rate. These are so good in this champion skill tree. I focus on utility for majority of my builds firsthand, because the damage will come later. The second thing I focused on was tactical boost. Tactical boost, increasing my crit damage, my crit chance, and my stun and status damage. It comes in very handy. My third thing that I focused on was my defensive boost. Him being defensive as possible because he's gonna take all the aggro. He's taking all the damage. Increase your health as well, because these enemies hit hard at a higher difficulty. Trust when I say that. And combat boost, I'm picking up a lot of flack from all the Hulk mains saying that the combat boosts don't really affect you as much, but I also know a lot of full 375 Hulk players, and I'm telling you right now, I'm seeing some difference. Like it's say 3%, but it's really 1%. But the damage output is there. There is a difference in damage. I tell you that. So those are my order of operations: utility, tactical, defense, and then combat last. And yeah, so there goes my support Hulk build. Here are the statistics for that. Go ahead, enjoy. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, it totally gets the job done. Totally gets the job done. Hulk is my second main, Kamala being my number one. Her support is magnificent. With this, it's really good. You guys are gonna love to play as this build. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit that like button, comment if you must, hit that bell. I appreciate you guys so much. With our first raid coming, yes, our first raid is gonna be here. Who is the character that you are going to choose to be your raid ready hero? Let me know in the comment section.